In this presentation, we will be discussing the species in this ecosystem, such as the mule deer, the coyote, the pinyon jay, juniper, and pinyon pine trees. Later on, we will also cover environmental issues and why this ecosystem is interesting. To start, the mule deer is a native animal that is not usually seen during the day, mainly because they fear human interaction. Coyotes are also native animals that are primarily nocturnal hunters. These animals share a parasitism symbiotic relationship. As for the pinyon jay, these birds are also native and thrive off the sheddings of native pinyon pine trees. Junipers are also found in this ecosystem. These native trees carry pollen that produce seeds in which animals will then thrive from.
So I'm going to be talking about biology and human destruction in the pinyon juniper ecosystem. Making trails is um, it's not as detrimental to the area because we expect people to stay on those trails, but by making human trails, bike trails, vehicle trails, it's going to slowly break down the environment surrounding it. Vehicles are going to start digging into the ground. People get adventurous and they go off the trails and they want to make their own trails, which is just bad. Human waste from cigarette butts, plastic from water bottles, clothing, food containers. It's just going to be laying around, and the environment isn't supposed to take that in. Vehicle destruction, like exhaust going into the air, um, oil and other fluids from your car coming out, gasoline, rubber from your tires. Let's say you run over a sharp rock, boom, now you got rubber just all over the place, and animals might eat that. And just other parts of your car coming off, metal, uh, stuff like that. Animals aren't supposed to be eating that kind of stuff, and so if they do eat it, it's gonna affect their life and their digestive system. And then cryptobiotic soil, I feel like is the most important thing in the pinyon juniper ecosystem. I feel like it holds the environment together. It's really old, and it takes 5,000 to 10,000 years to get back once you step on it, once you drive on it, stuff like that. So when we lose that, we're losing a piece of history because that cryptobiotic soil goes back thousands of years before our time.
It is important to understand the vitality of being aware of animal life, the cryptobiotic soil, and the human interaction, but also why citizens should care. Human awareness is important because if we don't pay attention to plant, animal life, and things like cryptobiotic soil, we risk the ecosystem needing to take years to replenish. Citizens should care because those who live in Colorado value outdoor life. Therefore, if we want to continue living this adventurous lifestyle, then we have to take care of and be aware of the natural organisms and ecosystem. Another thing to keep in mind is deforestation. Rainforest Alliance mentioned that deforestation rates are accelerating, which can trigger chain reactions. Rhett Butler wrote about consequences of deforestation and said, by destroying the tropical forests, we risk our own quality of life, gamble with the stability of climate and local weather, threaten the existence of other species, and undermine the valuable services provided by biological diversity. This quote demonstrates the codependency of deforestation and why it is important to be attentive.
Some future directions for this ecosystem, I feel like surveillance would be a really big thing for this. From hunting cameras and more forest law enforcement to check on the trails for waste and stuff like that to make sure everything's kept up. So we don't have trash on the side. There's good Samaritans out there that clean it up, so that's really nice of them. Make people more aware of with signs and bring these things into schools so they know more about what going off trails will do to the environment and what leaving trash will do to the animals and the environment around it. The negative impact would be I feel like talking and showing to people what will happen to our environments if we don't fix it and we don't take that next step to bettering ourselves, and so our environment can stay longer, and so our the other generations will be able to see it. Some unanswered scientific questions I feel like people need to be asking is like, what's going to happen when we don't have any cryptobiotic soil, when we don't have any Pinyon Juniper ecosystems in Colorado and Utah and New Mexico, stuff like that, and like what is this going to do to the animals that live here? Like, are these plants and going to go extinct? I feel like that's a really good unanswered scientific question because we just don't know yet.